years,
I'm
or
not,
half the time they served.
well, I think there's other things you could do. If you really wanted to do things like that, you can eliminate COLAs so that, someone lives, 40 years, their 70,000 pension becomes a $140,000 pension. You can do things of that nature. You can limit it so that no one should be getting 100%. I mean, that's just my own personal opinion.
Do you know how many people
And the
in
reason why, because when you're a W-2 employee, you're paying FICA, you're paying SDI, you're paying Medicare, you're paying into the retirement system. So your net amount is less than it would be as a retiree. As a retiree, you don't pay into those things, so your gross would be more if you were earning the same amount. That's why, that's one thing you could look at. Maybe it should be capped. There's a lot of things that could happen.
Now you worked
Employees could pay more into the system.
You worked 7 years in the treasurer's office. What did you do before that?
I've been in the treasurer's office 13 years.
Oh, 13. I'm sorry.
7 years as the assistant.
As the chief assistant.
As the assistant treasurer tax collector said the last 7 years.
Which makes you the number 2 person under Miss
James, right.
Who's retiring to a pension of how much?
You'd have to ask her, I don't know.
Come on, Mr. Hagen. You know what her pension's going to be. I'm sure you know.
I really don't.
You really don't. What do you guess it is?
I would guess it's over $100,000, but I don't know for certain.
So Miss James served 2 terms, correct?
I think she was in county.
But as the elected.
2 terms as the elected.
As the elected.
Yes.
So it's going to be based on her elected salary, right?
Yes.
Which is in excess of $100,000.
Yes.
By a considerable amount, isn't it?
I would think so, yes.
Yes.
From what I saw in the
So
paper.
now Miss James is going to retire to over $100,000 every year?
That's my guess. I don't know for sure.
For the rest of her life. For 8 years of getting that top salary, she now gets it. If she lives 50 years, she's going to get $100,000. I think my cameraman Bob would like that. My cameraman Paco would like that. How about you, Stephen? Yeah, Stephen says, yeah, thumbs up. He'll take that job for $100,000 a year and then retire and take $100,000 a year for the rest of his life. People are angry about this. What could you do to put some, what does the average person in the county treasurer's office make? The average, from the beginning grunt who just got hired to just file papers or whatever, all the way up to the elected. What is the range?
Well, we have in the office, we have financial office professionals, which are, clerical positions. They can come in starting at $10 an hour.
Okay. Which equates in a yearly salary to what? $12,000 a year?
No, there's 28,000.
28,000 a year?
No, I'd say 23,000, somewhere in there.
22,000 a year.
Yeah.
And if they've been there 10 years and they move up 2 or 3 grades, what do they make?
35 maybe.
35, okay.
Somewhere
And
around.
how many people do we have working total in the treasurer's office? Not the controllers, just
Right.
the treasurers.
Right. The treasurer's office, we have about 45 people.
Ooh, 45 people just to cash checks.
No.
No?
Remember, a third of the office is public assistance. It's the public administrator, public guardian, and veteran services.
Oh,
1/3 of the office.
You got veteran services included in that.
We have, what I was talking about the office. The office is kind of like a bank. Okay, we have the treasury. Okay, where we have investment. We have the investments. We have the banking services, and just like a bank, you would have. Send out statements. We send out property tax statements. So we have a secured and we have unsecured property taxation, in addition to business licenses and TOT, that kind of stuff. And then we have a collection staff too, just like a bank would have a collection staff. And what that staff does, they're collecting for services provided by, say, public health or welfare overpayments, or the biggest client is probation. When someone gets convicted of a crime and there's a victim restitution, fees and fines, they're collecting from the people that
goes through you.
Right. We collect that for them. Send out statements. We have professional collectors on the phone doing that. Public assistance, that's the public administrator, public guardian, and veteran services.
How about Rex Amundo? He got robbed by his own attorney, a guy named Alan W. Courtney, who was convicted. I believe they initially went after him for 15 or some felonies. Second trial, he's convicted of 7 felonies. He goes off to jail for 7 years for 7 felonies, all interrelated with commingling money and whatnot. And Rex hasn't collected $1 in restitution from the Bar Association. Nobody has repaid Rex. He used to have a beautiful home up on a hill out in Solvang, and He got involved with this attorney, and before he was done, he was cleaned out.
Was the attorney convicted?
Yes, oh yes, he's serving time. Alan W. Courtney, and I was the only cameraman in the courtroom. You can go on YouTube and put in Alan W. Courtney, or just put, lawyer shot down in court, and that'll bring it up. It's getting a lot of views, and a lot of people say, thank you, Mr. Wagener, because we never see this. Attorneys actually going to jail, actually getting sentenced, not finding wiggle room. But Alan Courtney said, and I'm not exaggerating, Judge, I think I should get immediate probation because the jails are full. They're overfull. The prisons are overfull. And I need to pick up the pieces of my life. But in all his statements, he didn't say one word that he was going to see that Rex Fowler even got his 10%, what do you call it, your 10% home exemption, what do you call that, that you can put on your home?
The homestead?
The homestead.
Yeah.
Even that was stolen from him by the attorney who claims he gave it to the sheriff, who claims he gave it to who knows what, but he didn't get it back. Could that $100,000 be sitting in the county treasury, and that's where the sheriff dumped it, and nobody knows why? Could the money be sitting there, and nobody even knows why it came in?
It would be very unusual if it did. I don't know. I don't follow the books of the sheriff's office. I don't know. They have their own CFO that would, manage their own funds.
Well, I'm just asking.
Yeah. So I don't.
So you don't know.
I don't know.
It could be there. It might not be there. It might be.
It'd be very unusual to have something like that occur, I would think. But
well, I think it was very
I'm not aware of
unusual. I think it was very unusual to get an attorney convicted of anything. I mean, he was judged by an attorney. His defender was a former judge, Michael Scott, who was caught doing cocaine, I think it was, while sitting on the bench. Served time in a county jail. And then magically got his license back. Which I'm thinking, if you were elected treasurer and they caught you doing cocaine in your office, do you think you would ever get your status back to be involved in the county treasurer collecting business again?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But this happened to Michael Scott, and this shows the power of this evil cabal of criminals, also known as the Bar Association. I don't know if you remember the pistol-packing judge in L.A. that threatened to shoot a cop's testicles off about 30 years ago. And
what was his name?
it was a her.
Oh.
And I'm just having a senior moment. I can see her face, and she's on my interview with Gary Zerman on YouTube. And she's actually holding a gun in one of these photos. And she threatened this cop because the cop told her to stop blowing her horn in traffic, because she wanted someone to move out of her way even though it was a red light. That's how arrogant. I think she was having a PMS day that day. But anyway, it just shows the power. She was eventually pressured or removed from her judgeship in L.A. And the judges haven't got any better in L.A. And this is not something you could do anything about. But I just want to mention the name Richard Fine to you. Probably the last honest, decent attorney.
Richard Fine?
Attorney Richard Fine. He was consulate for, I think, Norway in Beverly Hills. Except for Tom Mesereau, who defended Michael Jackson and proved it was all crap that Tom Sneddon brought against him. I think Richard Fine is the last. There's only 2 decent attorneys in this whole state of how many attorneys? 100,000 or something? Does that make you feel uncomfortable to hear somebody say that?
I was guessing it's probably more than that, to be honest with you.
No, there's only 2, I think. Richard Fine and Tom Mesereau. I have searched and searched for honest, good attorneys, people that won't bilk their clients unnecessarily, people that will actually fight for their clients after they get $5,000 or $10,000, and I have not found them, and I'm very disappointed. And now we have this, one of these papers, did I bring them? Well, maybe I don't have them in that pile. Those are mostly Form 700s. I haven't really searched your Form 700, but if you win the primary, no, there isn't a primary, is it? It's all over in June, isn't it?
It could be over in June. It could be if one of us gets 50%.
50% plus 1. This is not a partisan race.
Well, absolutely not. No, this is a finance position. This is
the finance, has nothing to do.
This doesn't set policy
Right.
at all. This is purely finance.
Finance, that's right. So if it isn't over in June, I will be looking at everybody's Form 700 that goes on to November. Because in Dan Raymer's case, who gave that $80,000 to Josh Lynn, he agreed. Dan Raymer said, "Oh, please don't tape me here in my driveway. I don't want the bad guys to know where I live." And I said, "Look, you hid out. You did everything you could to bury your trail, and I found you. And I'm not even a bad guy. I just hate corruption. Why did you give $80,000 loan when you have no money?" Where do you get $80,000? Your Form 700, which we have right here, declares no real estate, no stocks and bonds, no savings account. Yet he pulled up $80,000 out of the air and gave it to Josh Lynn. And I'm not saying people should vote for Joyce Dudley. I'm not taking a position. I'm just saying we, the people, have a right to know. We, the people, have a right to know